Remaster. It's a word that the gaming community seems to hate more and more every time another one is rumored or announced. I mean, heck, the Switch during its early days had the nickname of the port console, since it took all the games from the Wii U, or most of them, and just put them on the Switch. Some people still call it that to this day. From games like the Crisis Trilogy to The Last of Us Part 1 and even Ghost of Tsushima, why are all these remasters being released, and why is the more important question, why are people fed up with them? Well, we're going to discuss all of that today. Plus, we got some other gaming news that we want to cover as well, like RedFall, who finally got the performance patch, at least on the console side. And the big question, is it finally time to forgive CD Projekt Red for Cyberpunk 2077 after all of these years? I'm Tallen with Direct Gaming. If you enjoyed the video, leave us a like and a comment down below on all these topics. Until then, let's get started. First thing I quickly want to ask everyone here today is, what is the difference between a remaster and a remake? Many, including myself, have confused these two terms, whether it was back when we first started gaming in elementary school or even to this day. I see the topic talked about constantly on the internet and even in forums and everything. Some may not agree, but remasters are usually games where the main system in a game are not really changed, and things like graphics, controller options, and minor changes like audio are made. Remakes, on the other hand, are usually, not all the time, but usually where the game is made from the ground up again. Think Final Fantasy VII Remake or Resident Evil 4 Remake, and heck, I would even say Resident Evil 2 Remake as well. Those games were made basically from the ground up. Tons of features were added in, gameplay things were changed, and overall, while the spirit of the game is still there, there are a huge amount of changes, and there's a good chunk of time from when it was originally released to now when it's released, at least in the concept of Resident Evil 4 Remake. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, aka Remake Part 2, is releasing early next year, so we'll have to judge and see, was it worth it to take one game, aka Final Fantasy VII, and split it up into three. We're getting the second one, we'll have to see how well it is. But regardless, those are generally the terms that people will use when they are talking about a remake or a remaster. So with that all out of the way now, that brings us to this. The Last of Us Part 2 remaster rumored that showed up on the internet over the last few days. And oh boy, were people getting heated. Plenty of gamers asking, why? Why are you remastering this game? It's on PS4 and you can play it on your PS5. This is also just like The Last of Us Part 1 remake. I also saw plenty of comments about, come on Naughty Dog, is this why the multiplayer factions is on ice? Is this single player game being worked on that you've talked about just a remaster of a game that's on PS4 and does not really need one? Saw plenty of those over Twitter, YouTube videos, you name it. People are not particularly happy when it comes to something like this. And I think especially with something like The Last of Us, where it is already a very beautiful looking game, lots of cool features, cool gameplay mechanics, cool cutscenes. Why would you need a remaster or a remake of a game or something that already looks like that in this day and age, even though one of those games is over 10 years old and one of those, while not as old, still looks amazing? Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to Part 1, Last of Us Part 1 was remade for the PS5 with tons of different graphical options, audio options, and gameplay changes, where some will call it a remake, but others will actually call it a simple remaster. And personally for me, I can see both sides. With the game already remastered on PS4, gamers can just simply get that version and play it on their PS5 if that happens to be their main console that they have right now. Plus, the factions multiplayer part, that was not part of this brand new PS5 remake, and a lot of people called Naughty Dog out for that. That's a good chunk of the game missing right there. On the other hand though, if you've never played this game, and let's say for example you just finished watching the first season of the show, which was pretty successful by all means, then this would be the version you would want to pick up. Why would you pick up the old version when you got this brand new spanking version right here? Or maybe if your parents bought it for you for some reason, right? I saw a ton of families that watched this series, including my own parents, who back when I was a kid, I had to explain to them every single console thing that I could possibly imagine. And I know you 90s kids are right there with me as well. So it's a little hard to justify sometimes, but on the other hand, I can see why somebody would go out and buy the PS5 version of The Last of Us Part 1. I'm personally not going to, but maybe if there was a sale and I happen to be a brand new gamer, especially if, you know, down the road in 10 years or so, it'd be like, yeah, okay, that'd be the version you'd go for. That is, again, assuming PlayStation 5 games are going to be played on whatever's in 10 years, PlayStation 6, PlayStation 7, whatever the case is, right? So when a remaster or a remake of a game that already has top-of-the-line graphics can be played on current-gen consoles, gets leaked / there are rumors buzzing around, it's understandable why some would get upset, especially in a time when money is pretty tight for most, games are unfinished when released, and it feels like companies and publishers are just milking us for everything, or nickeling and diming depending on what you're playing. Now, what are my personal thoughts on this? I think waiting until an actual confirmation from Sony / PlayStation is the first step. These are leaks, these are rumors, these could be real, they could be fake, who knows? But until we actually have an official announcement from them, I wouldn't take it too seriously. I mean, who knows? Maybe this is some kind of small side project where a few Naughty Dog staff are working on it with another team, and the main team is really working on this brand new story player mode. I do understand the frustration though, especially this past week when all of the news broke about all these layoffs, including coming from Naughty Dog, and then seeing that the Factions live service multiplayer mode that is supposed to be standalone is all of a sudden put on ice. Yeah, that's not exactly the best look. And maybe they were going to announce that the remaster of Part 2 is coming, but then they saw all of the feedback and yeah, maybe they're waiting a little bit. Who's to say? But at the same time, I think just speaking with your wallets is not a bad thing to do, especially if this upsets you. I mean, personally, I would rather have a remake or a remaster or something like Infamous 1 and 2, since we can't actually play those games anymore unless you have a PS3 or love to suffer through cloud gaming, right? Whereas Part 1 for The Last of Us and again, Part 2 for The Last of Us, those are available on current gen right now or playable via from the PS4 days. So I can understand that. Plus, I would have thought for a remaster of Part 2, they would wait until Season 2 of the show comes out. I don't know, that's just my personal opinion, but I figured that'd be better marketing. Regardless, we will have to see what is announced soon, but I will say this. If this is real, please attach this Factions mode that has been put on ice because Bungie and Sony are saying, no, this isn't good enough, and kind of sweeten the pot a little bit, make it a little bit better. A lot of people are still not happy that Factions was left out of Part 1, especially because it was available for the original release of it. So if you do that, that's better marketing for you. It'll make players a little bit happy and hopefully justify that right there. I don't know how far along the Factions game is going, but if it's pretty far along in its developments and Bungie put the kibosh on it for a while, why not just simply say, okay, it's not good live service game, but hey, we're going to throw it onto this remaster of Part 2, and that's better marketing for us, assuming your servers can hold up though. Regardless, we're gonna have to see what's gonna happen, but hopefully if it is made, we get some Factions. If it's not, then we gotta learn, hey, not all rumors are true, right? Moving on from the remakes though, earlier this last week, RedFall, yeah, remember that flop of a game, actually finally got its big performance patch for consoles that brought with it the 60 FPS mode. Yeah, I know, first person shooter not having 60 FPS in modern day. Oh, trust me, I could go on and on about frames, but we're not gonna go there because I could ramble on for hours and hours. Looking at the screen as well, you can also see that there are a ton more patches, including things like how characters react, things you can do in game, etc. One of the heads of Bethesda has even come out saying that they are not giving up on this game and they see players playing this in 10 years. That's pretty ambitious right there, I'll give them that, but looking at the Steam charts, which I know doesn't include the Xbox because I can't look at that unfortunately, I really wish that every single platform allowed us to look at charts like that, but unfortunately they don't. But looking at Steam right now, they are really going to have to deliver during this post-launch stuff. However, that is going to be very hard since they are spending the first few months on patches, fixes, and features, meaning that any kind of DLC stuff most likely has been delayed. If you look at something like, I don't know, Battlefield 2042, got a video coming on that pretty soon, they had to delay all of their live service stuff for over 6 months because they had to fix the game and just go in and do things and be like, hey, add this in. Why is this gone? Fix these bugs and everything. And Redfall's kind of in the same camp. They can't overhaul huge mechanics, or if they do, that takes more time away from this live service stuff or any kind of DLC they might want to reveal. Personally, I don't have anything else to say that has not been said on this game. I mean, look at reviews and videos, and that should show you exactly why most people are just like, whatever, this game is dead already. But if I had the power to, I would simply say, take the L and move on to your next project. I know it sucks, but I think this would be for the best. I mean, this game lost the company a lot of talent due to the shift from a single player game to live service. Take notes, Sony. Time will tell if things are going to improve for the better, but based on people playing it right now, gamers testing out the new patch, it kind of seems like a wasted effort to continue on. I think the patches and everything are good to bring to the game, but I wouldn't focus on the next 10 years of this game. Plus, can teams and marketing and everything get away from 10 years of this game's gonna go for 10 years? Yeah, they never do. Only one has. And it's gotten quite a bit of a drama itself this week, so we'll cover that in other videos potentially, but for now, just let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Final thing I want to wrap up before ending this video is Cyberpunk 2077. The sales for Cyberpunk were released today due to the first and only story DLC releasing back at the end of September. Many gamers are actually praising the DLC and the 2.0 changes. Some gamers, however, are saying it's too little too late, seeing terms like revision history has been thrown around quite a bit, and people not forgetting for the terrible launch of the game way back in 2020, especially if you're on the older gen consoles. Now, I personally remember playing it at launch with my 1080 of all things with my GPU, and while some of the story beats were definitely cool and some of the RPG systems had promise, the bugs definitely got in the way. You will see some reviews, however, saying like, hey, because of all the bugs and everything, you couldn't sit down and have a reasonable discussion about Cyberpunk because like, hey, these systems and functions are good, but this gets in the way of everything. And people saying things like Cyberpunk has actually always been good. It's just that people were mad and pissed. And trust me, I get it 100% that people were pissed and everything. Back in those days, especially, and still somewhat true to this day, CD Projekt Red was one of the few good guys when it came to developers and the publishers and the companies, that whole bundle, right? Count on your fingers how many times you've been burned by other games, and you can see why people really wanted Cyberpunk to deliver on everything and just destroy the competition, especially when you have people from the company come out and saying like, look, we're gonna leave greed to the others. We're not gonna do that. Well, in reality, the marketing and the higher ups got the advantage, and yeah, the rest is history, basically. Playing it now, I will say though that the 2.0 update has definitely fixed a ton of stuff. But the question should be though, should you buy the game if you either returned it last time or you never bought into it because of all the reviews and you're wondering, is it worth it now? And I would even say a bigger question is, should you trust CD Projekt Red? Is it time to forgive them? Have they done enough now to earn back our trust and everything? In my personal opinion, I would say if you still feel betrayed by the game / the company from back then no, don't buy it. Don't support a company that lied to you, keep it civil however though, and play some other games. Higher ups in marketing, like I mentioned beforehand, 100% lied about the state of this game, kept reviews from showing off previous gen consoles when it clearly was not ready, and honestly should not have even been released on last gen consoles. I know some people don't like to hear that, but that game had way too much going for it in terms of all the graphical fidelity and everything they wanted to do in the game. I'm like, there is no way this is running on the PS4 and Xbox One. And we are right for the most part. I will also say though, if you see reviews on it and it looks cool and you want to try it out and you happen to maybe see it on sale, I'd say go for it. It's your money though, and you have to spend it on what you want. We say this all the time here on the channel. Vote with your wallets. October and 2023 itself has tons of games releasing. Money is tight for many, including myself, and you need to pick what is best for you and pick what game is going to get you the best value for your money. I mean, heck, if this was 4 years ago, I'd be going around saying, hey, everyone, go pick up AC Mirage. It's a return to form. It's an awesome Assassin's Creed game. But now in 2023, while I personally enjoy parts of the game, I'm going to say, wait for a sale or, you know, a remaster on the next consoles. With all that being said, though, that's everything from us today about what has happened in the last week of gaming. Now, I want to know your thoughts on everything, though. I know I've said it many times before, but let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We love to read as many as we can, and if you happen to enjoy the video, then a like would be greatly appreciated. It shows us that you enjoyed this video, and it helps us out in the old scary algorithm. Plus, if you want to, maybe sub to the channel. It helps us out a lot, and it's free. I've been Tallen with Direct Gaming, though. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope to see everybody in the next video, and I hope you have an awesome week. Until then, Johnny.